Okay, so what I am noticing that is alive in me right now is I am still basking in the amazing magic and wonder of the Elevate second anniversary that we celebrated on Wednesday night. Was there anyone who was here for that? Winnie, Linda, Glenn, and Nikki, right? It was such an exquisite evening. I set up the whole space like a lounge, and we just had these tables with little lanterns on them, and it was a completely different vibe than it has been before. So we're going to experience that on Sunday soon, okay? But the thing that really stood out for me, I mean, among so many things, was the reading that my co-lead and really close friend Sherry offered. And so I have these backwards, I want to focus on some of the stuff that came out of that reading for me because it was so powerful. And so it's from Brianna Wiest's new book, which is The Life That's Waiting. And it's actually the foreword that Sherry read. I don't have this book. I've only heard the foreword from what Sherry read. And it was all about really embracing our calling, our spiritual work, about showing up for our life instead of just letting it pass us by. And so what this also made me think of is the Global Truth Center Los Angeles, which is where I did most of my spiritual and consciousness studies, and their mission statement, which is love only, forgive everything, remember who you are. And when you remember who you are, basically the other stuff, isn't really necessary because that's it. Love is all there is. But recently, for me, I came across this amazing contemporary philosopher and non-dualist called Rupert Spira, who is all about being. Like, don't even try to remember. There's no point in remembering because you already are the thing that you're trying to remember. And by trying to remember, you're kind of disconnecting yourself from who and what you really are. So that's kind of floating around in my head. I'm like, whoa, that's like a whole other level, right? And then there was this Brianna Wiest foreword on becoming. And so all three things kind of tied in together. And so I want to read you the way that this foreword starts. The reason you begin the journey is not for what you will get out of it, but the nature of what you will become for having completed it in the first place. And then she talks about a calling. And the calling for me, like a calling, it's my calling that I experienced when I experienced the call to ministry was like, whoa, this is why I'm here. This is my purpose in this lifetime. I've never experienced anything else that's even come close to this is my reason for being in this way right here, right now. But the thing is, you don't have to experience a call to ministry or a call to anything because we are all called to be more of who and what we are just by the nature of our being here and existing, right? So this is for us to become more aware of it. So she writes, a calling is not a career, it is not a task list, it is a lens through which you see the world. A sacred responsibility to translate the invisible into form, a daily devotion to becoming someone who lives in alignment with what is most real. And when we distill down everything that we experience, everything that we think about, all of our feelings, all of the stories that we tell, the experiences that we have, all of it comes down to spirit, energy, creativity, love, God, whatever you want to call it. That's the thing. That's the thing that is expressing itself in, through, around, and as us. Because if it doesn't express itself through us, it's just sort of, potentiality, right? Quantum field, all of these possibilities that exist in form but don't actually exist because we haven't focused on them yet. But as soon as spirit moves and grooves its way in, through, and as us, and we are aware that this is happening, then, oh my gosh, we get to choose whether we're going to experience more of that thing that is experiencing and fulfilling itself in, through, and as us. And that's the calling. That's the call for all of us, is live your most amazing life. Be the person, do the things, show up the way that only you are meant to show up, that only you, in your unique, original, individualized way, can show up as love, as spirit, as source, as infinite potentiality, as God. That's the calling that she's writing about. But it's still about becoming, right? And I'm not dismissing. I mean, I've only read the foreword. I haven't even read the entire book, and I will read the book because I'm a fan of hers too. But there's still this thing now for me about becoming. You know, we already are that. And so what is it that we need to become? I'm not standing here having all the answers or telling you think the way I think or whatever. I'm just kind of tossing out, questions to you to like open you up and get you curious, right? But for me, I'm like becoming, being. And so when it comes to Rupert Spira, he says, allow becoming to subside in being. Be without becoming. I see some nodding heads. I'm just going to say that again. Allow becoming to subside in being. Be without becoming. So the title of my talk today is Surrendering into Being. And when I was looking for an image, I had no idea what I was looking for, but then I started thinking of whirling dervishes, Sufis, right? Who dance themselves into a frenzy, into a trance. Why? To let go of everything of the physical world and to experience and become more of God, right? And I thought, this is it, right? Just like losing yourself so completely that you actually not only remember who you are, but just are, period. So that is why this photo. Now, in The Science of Mind, which was written by Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of religious science, which is one of the four main streams under the New Thought umbrella in the world. We are a New Thought center. He wrote in The Science of Mind, love is the self-givingness of spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. So if we really, really listen to this, then what we are hearing is love, this incredible energy, this dynamism, this infinite potentiality, which is always present, needs something to express through so it can experience itself. And we are that thing. So not only are we this sort of vessel, if you will, but we are a demonstration. We are a manifestation of spirit, so spirit can actually enjoy life. It can know itself in a way that it couldn't if it didn't move and groove its way in through and as us. He also wrote, our mind and spirit is our echo of the eternal thing itself. And the sooner we discover this fact, remember who you are, the sooner we shall be made happy and free. And so essentially, it's just a reminder that our spiritual work that comes from the quote that we had in meditation, for those of us who are here in meditation, it's up to us to take our spiritual work seriously, to understand that we are being called every single moment into a fuller, greater, more powerful, more amazing expression of who and what we already are. And so if I go back to the quote that I ended with last Sunday in the talk that was inspired by Reverend Gail and what she offered from Deepak Chopra from the online summit that she and John were watching, I said, if we don't take our spiritual work, our calling, seriously, we will miss the infinite possibilities of being available to us and will be doomed to suffer a limited, diminished experience of living. And so that's not meant to be a downer, but it's kind of meant to be a wake-up call, as much for me as for anyone else who is hearing these words, because there will be times in our life where we don't want to, we don't know how, we don't want to come because we're tired or we don't feel like it, right? Lori, your share, yesterday I had the same thing, but with working out. I had one more to do, like in the series that I was doing the entire week, and we went to a concert, our weekend was full, and I did one in the morning, and I still had one left, and as we're driving home and it's getting dark, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do it. And I said to Glenn, please help me. Don't let me make excuses because this is so important, right? So he's like, put on your gym clothes, send me a text when you've hit the start on the video. And I'm like, okay. And then I did it. And it wasn't my favorite one, but oh my gosh, did I feel so much better after I did it, right? And then I know I would have been so disappointed in myself had I not done it, because it's a commitment. And there will be times when we follow our commitment, but we don't want to because we don't feel like it. Because what happens is our comfort zone, our ego, it wants to stay exactly as it is. It doesn't want to grow. It doesn't want to move into the new. It doesn't want to expand. It wants to stay like this. But here's the thing. If we are this eternal thing that has no limits, no bounds, no beginning, no end, that is constantly on the move, that is forever evolving and changing and expanding, it cannot be contained. And so it's going to keep giving us signals and nudging and sometimes slapping us upside the head to grow, to learn, to expand, to remember who we are, to become more of who and what we already are, so that ultimately we can just be. So in the Heart of Prayer, Rupert Spira writes, "In being without becoming, there is no movement of ourself, no dynamism, tension, attention, or devotion. We do not go towards that for which we long, we sink into it." This sinking takes place on the vertical dimension of being, not the horizontal dimension of becoming. It takes place in a direction that cannot be known by the mind. And so this speaks to how important it is to really, really honor, listen to, and trust our heart. To feel everything that it is that we are experiencing, to honor those feelings. And just like is at the center of our values compass here, our purpose for our community, which came from the community, it is to embody, to feel and experience in every single cell, every single system, every organ, every atom, every molecule, every interspace of our being, that we are God. We are pure, essential love expressing every moment of every day. That is the point. That is our spiritual work. That is our calling. So Ernest Holmes wrote about love, that love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. And this is who and what we are, and this is what is continually moving its way, expressing its way, expanding and fulfilling its way in, through, and as us. And our only job is to let it. So to end, more from Brianna Wiest at the end of that foreword, she writes, "The point is not what comes back, but what pours out of you as you go, so that it can be said in the quiet after you are gone, they did not waste their soul." And so for us, my invitation and call to action for all of us is, let us not waste our souls. Let us remember who and what we are, so that we can embrace our sacred responsibility of translating the invisible into form, so that ultimately we can sink into being by further embodying and surrendering to and as the love we truly are. Thank you, and so it is.